I love Quantrix and I want to make you a Quantrix master. Go to QuantrixAuthority.com to learn more.
Hey, welcome back to another netcast. I'm Rich Lopez, Quantrix Authority. Sincerely appreciate you joining me today for episode number 340. I'm going to show you how to return the item values of the populated cells. I have here a model that has some what we'll call part codes going down the side, as well as some items going across the top that we're going to call allergens. And within my data set, it's a data import matrix. Within my data set, I kind of have some funky data, but for example, if my allergen is milk, I would see an M in the cell value associated with that part code. Or maybe I would see a 1. If it was sesame, I would see maybe an SE. And what I'd like to do is I would like to return actually into this column here I'd like to return the values that are found in the items up here where there is a value found in the cells here. So in order to do this, what I would do is I would simply go out and say try1 is equal to a select S statement. And a select S is like a conditional select, and I'm going to say, well, what I want it to return is I want it to return the @allergens. That's what's going across here. And my test range is going to be my allergens. And I want it where it is does not equal, so that's a double quote, single quote, which would give me a does not equal blank. When I go ahead and I hit that, you can see that it's actually returning milk, and in this case peanut. If I were to look at the dependency inspector and hover on this, I would see that it actually returns milk, egg, soy, gluten, etc. So it's going to return what I would like, but the problem is this is involved in a circular reference because I'm looking at allergen, I'm within allergens here, and I'm looking within allergens. So I don't really like that because of this circular reference, so I got to figure out a way to get rid of the circular reference. Also, I know that I could move this allergens to another matrix, and I could do it with maybe a helper matrix, but in this instance, because of maybe some model size or whatever the case may be, or matrice size, I don't want to have to create another matrix that's got this allergen kind of helper matrix. So what I'm going to do actually is within parts, I'm actually going to manually add a part, and I'm going to manually add a part or add a row, and I'm just going to call it header utility, or maybe I'll call it allergens utility or allergens helper. And within that, what I'm going to populate allergens helper with is I'm going to say in allergen allergens utility, I want that to equal my @allergens. When I go ahead and do that, what it's going to do, it's going to populate this allergens utility with this item here. Now what I'm going to do in my try number 2 is I'm going to say select S, and what I want to return is my allergen utility allergens, and what my value is that I want to look up are my allergens, or what are my test range rather. The test range is my allergens, and my condition is double quote does not equal a blank. And when I go ahead and I hit that, it actually returns values. If I were to highlight the dependency inspector on this, it returns the values I would expect, and there is no circular reference. So what I'm then going to do is I'm going to wrap this with a join. I'm going to make this a comma separated list in this try number 2, and then that is how I can get a comma separated list of the item headers where my cells have a non-blank value or contain a value. That is one way that I would do this. You could also, like I mentioned, maybe do it with a helper, but if I didn't want the helper utility matrix, I would need to add an item here for a helper. If you have any questions or thoughts about that, or anything in Quantrix, I really hope that you'll reach out to me at quantrixauthority@gmail.com. I absolutely love Quantrix. I want to make you a Quantrix master, so please join me again for another episode of Quantrix Authority with Rich Lopez.
Today's podcast is brought to you by QuantrixAuthority.com. I love Quantrix, and I want to make you a Quantrix master.